Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 3:48 a.m. We are up here in this park. I was just sitting here. God just do not, at 3 a.m. God be like, get up, get up. He don't care how cold it is, how sick you is, so nothing. Get up. The Holy Spirit just won't let me sleep after 3 o'clock. So, but anyway, we here. I was just sitting here. I was praying, worshiping. Look at my eyes. I was crying, pleading the blood of Jesus. And then God spoke to me just now and said, pick up that phone and make a video about and expose witchcraft and expose like that whole demonic realm, expose it. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I used to do witchcraft, not even knowing fully what it is. As okay, for some of you who are just tuning in who don't know my background, prior to this, I had zero religious background. As far as I did not grow up in a household that installed Jesus, taught about Jesus, God, nothing. My parents didn't teach us nothing about God. We only went to church on Easter, dressed up when we were younger, but that was it. When we were like young kids, we would go and that was it. But besides that, we I had zero knowledge about God. When I was 14, he sent somebody to me telling me, you have a gift, go find God. And then when I was 21, I didn't. I stayed in the broad gate, stayed in the world, and that was it. And then until one day, I was tired and I surrendered. So now let's just bring it back. So when I was in the world, I used to date this kid. I used to date this guy, and him and his family were staying with me at my place for a period of time. And one day his mother had asked me to go to bring her to a store. It was a store downtown. And so I was like, okay. And so I brought her down there. And when we went down there, I found out it was the Botanica. It was a Botanica. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was a witchcraft store in my hometown. It was downtown, and I remember me and her, we went into the store, and I was just like amazed, like at all this stuff. It was dolls and candles and like you name it. I remember just looking around, and it was a small store, but it was packed with stuff, packed with all type of voodoo dolls and all type of ritual stuff. And at the time, I'm not even knowing, like I said, I like literally, like when I think back at like my response in that store, like a little blind kid, like I'm like, oh, what's this? Ooh, what's that? Like, anyway. I just remember it was just like in the middle of the store was like a whole thing, like a whole collection of different candles. And that's why she told me she wanted to go, because she was like, we gotta get candles for him for protection. She told me it was protection. And so I go there to this place. I start getting all these candles. I'm asking her. It was a Spanish lady, an older Spanish woman running the store. And I'm like, what's this for? What's this for? And they're like, oh, you want money? You want this? You want that? You want like money, protection, all type of stuff you can get a candle for. You light it, and then she gave us this parchment paper and said, like, you have to write whatever it is you want under and write it on a parchment paper, and you put it underneath the candle. And I remember when I tell you I went in that store, I bought at least anywhere from like 10 to 15 candles. Like, I just started buying, oh, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. Then there was an aisle, well, not even an aisle, it's just one little store, but then there was another section where I seen these bottles, like little square glass bottles, and they had hearts on them, like little foamy hearts where somebody probably, like little kids, where you see arts and craft, and they like glued it on. And I remember I was I asked the lady, what's this for? And she was saying it's for love. So it was one that was oil, and then one was like a powder. And she was saying, this is for love. Like I can't remember exactly word for word what she was saying, but I know she said the oil was for love, and then the powder, she said, you put it in his sneakers. Put it in his sneakers, and no matter what happens, he'll always come back. And so I bought both of them. The mother, with his mother right there. His mother brought me to the place. You know? So his mother there. And she knew, she was down with it, everything. Got home, I remember I lit all those candles. I remember I lit all those candles, and I had them on my dresser. It's all, that night is all like replaying in my head right now. He went in the shower, and then when he went in the shower, he came out the shower, and he got into bed. And I remember he just had boxers on, no shirt, no nothing. And I said, lay down. And he laid down on his face, and I just rubbed that oil all over him. And then when he went in the shower, I had carpet at my apartment at that time, and I remember I went outside of the door. We would all leave our shoes there, and I remember I put the powder in his shoes. And it went on like that. And I remember she used to tell me, because like I said, I bought like 10 and 15 candles for all different things. Like they said, for money and this and that and all type of stuff. And I would tell you this. I remember back then I would get money, but I could never keep it. I would get money, but could never keep it. And then I just remember her telling me that you can't let him burn out. You can't let him burn out. You can't let him burn out. And like, you got to keep going to the store, buying them and buying them and buying them. And I remember saying to myself, because like I said, I didn't really know nothing about it. Like, but after a while, I was like, what that? Because it became expensive. So I just stopped buying them. And I just stopped doing it. But one thing I would tell you, back to what I did to that boy, I sit back and it dawned on me what I did. What I did was witchcraft on him, and it turned around and backfired on me. And God is convicting me to come on here and expose what I did to him, so to prevent somebody else from playing with fire. So here I am, and me and this kid, when I would be with him, it would feel like a piece to a puzzle. Like I can't explain it. Like, when I would be with him, it would be like almost like he was like a twin, you know. We fought a lot. We fought and argued a lot. And we also indulged in like a lot of sin, you know, fornication and drinking. We had, you know. But one thing I could tell you that is, we will fight a lot and we separate. Like, he go do his thing, I go do my thing. But I tell you, he always would come back. He would always come back. There was one time we were arguing, and I remember I was sitting in my car. I just got off of work. I did a 3 to 11 shift. And I had just got off of work. And I was sitting where I was backed in my driveway, and my car had dark tints, and it was already nighttime. I remember just sitting there, and I was facing the road, and I would watch him just drive, watching my house. And this kid, when he's around people, he talk bad about me. Like, oh, I don't like her. The mom used to say that to me. One day I went over there to his house, because I was messing with him for like 4 years. And I remember I went to his house, and his mom came out and said, she came out and she said, you always talking about her. This is what the mom started to come out, and she said, you always talking about her, saying, oh, she's a drunk and this, that. And she said, but as soon as she comes and pull up, you run out there and you run to her. You jump out of your sleep and you go with her. I remember one time, I don't know what got into me, because when I tell you I was deep in darkness, I wanted to go to church. And I remember I tell him, let's go to church. He used to read the Bible, though. That was crazy part. He used to read the Bible. I remember one time I came to his house. I busted in his room. And I'm like, oh, drunk and all excited. That's how I always was. And he was sitting down there sober and reading the Bible. And I remember we went to bed. And I remember him telling me, Brittany, remind me to read a chapter every day. That's what he told me, and I said, okay. He said, remind me to read a chapter every day. But then he indulged. Then he had a side to him. He was in the darkness as well. He carried guns, shooting. He called himself trying to be a rapper, rapping, I don't know, about everything but God. And, he was fornicating, not just with me. He was messing with the whole town. He was like popular, but I remember him. He used to like read the Bible. He used to also keep a Bible and a cross underneath his head, but yet and still, he would do his mother made him do the witchcraft, and he would do it. He would do it. So anyway, I remember I said to him one day, let's go to church. And I can't, even still to this day, I don't know what made me, because I tell you, I was drinking, baby. And he did it. He's like, all right. But when it was time to go, like we were getting ready, he got ready, took a shower. We all got ready. It was me, him, and his mom. And I remember he got ready. When he was ready, he was angry. He got in the car. He was angry. He had an attitude. The whole time, an attitude. And I remember I don't know if it was when we were when we was in the car, me and his mom, waiting for him to come out, or once it was done, once we left the church. But I remember the mom saying to me, I can't believe you got him to do that. She said to me, I can't believe you got him to get up and go to church. She said, I couldn't believe you got him to do that. And then I remember this other time when the mom had told us, told me that it was, at the time, the guy was getting into shootouts. People were shooting at him and stuff. And I remember her telling me, she was like, we gotta go see her friend named Kathy. She had this Spanish lady named Kathy, who who she said would give her baths. She called them at the time baths. And it was this Spanish lady in Plainfield, in these buildings. I remember it was like apartment buildings. And it was me, her, him, and my brother. My brother was alive at this time. Him and my brother were like best friends. And we went to this building. I remember it was in this building. And we went in the lady Kathy's house. When we was in the lady Kathy's house, sorry about that. When we was in the lady Kathy's house, she was in there in the kitchen. She was in the kitchen, and she had this huge, big pot. This huge, big pot. And she was in there like she was cooking up something. Then I watched her take, like, it looked like dirt and leaves and like like somebody just raked up something and threw it in some water and started boiling it. And she had it in the pot. And I remember she had took whatever was in the pot and she put it in 2-liter bottles, and she paid her for it. I think it was like $20 or $35 for the bottle. And what she would do is she would take she would give him the bottle, and he would have to take a bath. Like once he get in the shower, he would wash up and then pour it over his whole entire body. When we got home that day, he did it. But I remember while I was there though, once again, intrigued like a kid. What is this? What is this? What is all through our house? And she was like, I remember her table. She had those cards. She was like a fortune teller, astrologist, or whatever. And I asked her, I said, can you read my fortune? And she was like, yeah. But she said, I want them to go out. So she made his mom out. She made him, his mom, and my brother step out of the house. And so they were in the hallway. So I remember I was there and she was reading my cards. And I remember her telling me, she said, something's gonna happen at your house. And she said, she told me something. I remember just these two things. She said something was gonna happen at my house. And she said, she's gonna be the reason of you guys splitting up. She's gonna come. The mom was gonna come in between me and him. That's what she told me. And I remember hearing that, and it always stuck with me. And I remember now when I sit back and I think about it, is the mom used to, at first we were cool and stuff, and you know, then she started to say like things to me, like towards the end. I noticed that she would say things like, oh, I remember one time she said, oh, you're trying to buy people and like buy, like, you know, because I always had this heart. You remember I just told y'all like a few days ago, God answered my prayer. I've been praying for 7 years. What's my gift? Those people, you know, the random people used to come to me, tell me, you have a gift. And I say, what is my gift? And God exposed to me, my gift is giving. I always had a heart from even a young kid of giving. And I remember his mom used to say to me, like, one day she said to me, it was over the phone, I would never forget. I was driving down, I remember the road and everything. And she said, you just want to buy people or buy for, and I said, no, I genuinely like giving to people. Like, it was, even when I was in the world, even when I was with Satan, I had a heart of giving. That's why I used to love Christmas. I didn't really get much on Christmas, and if I did, I was happy. It could have been a box of crayons. Excuse me. And I was happy. I just liked it to do for other people. But I didn't understand that at the time, what, you know, it was a gift of giving. But anyway, fast forward. So when that lady told me that, it came to pass. I really, my house got shot up. The boy was leaving out of my house in broad daylight. And some dudes he was beefing with came and just started shooting at him broad daylight. Kids outside, everything shooting at him. He coming out of my house, so they were shooting at him. And then I remember I remember that. And so I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, I remember I had bought a bath for my brother. So she bought a bath for him. This is when it was at Kathy's house, the lady who did my fortune telling. She bought a bath for him, and I bought a bath for my brother. And I said, RJ, that's my son. I said, PJ, do the bath. It's for protection, because that's what she was telling me. It was for protection. It was for protection. Lord have mercy, my brother. Thank God. My brother was like, I ain't taking that mess. I ain't doing that. God, I miss him so much. He was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And sure enough, he didn't do it. It stood behind in my dining room, behind one of my china cabinets. It stood behind there up until the day I moved. He never did it. He died, never did it. But I want to tell this story. She had a son who was older than, like a year or two older than the guy I was dating. And he has something about him, like a mind. Let's say he's 20, let's say, like, okay, so if I'm 33, he's about like my age, 33, 34. But he has a mind of a 9-year-old. And I remember people who knew him from in the past would say that he was not always like that. That he was not always, like that. Like he was normal. I remember my brother, they had another friend who also, I remember one day we were all together and we were talking. They said he was not always like that. And, the mom had told me that he was selling drugs and had got caught up. He was selling drugs and had got caught up by the police. I guess he sold to an undercover cop or something. And she said she had to go to Kathy, the same Spanish lady, to help try to get him out of prison. And she said Kathy did some type of work. This is what she told me. Kathy did some type of work. But listen to this. She said when they went to court, right? The detective that he sold to spoke good about him. So she said she did something where she reversed the mouth of the detective, and the detective talked good about him, and he didn't even go to jail. He didn't go to jail. But now that I think about it, I think that they was playing with that, and it turned his mind, because they kept saying, people were saying that he smoked something and ended up like that. No. Now that I know God and I know that side of the world, I believe that was his payback. That was the consequence of playing with black magic. He got out of prison time, but he lost his mind. He got out of prison time, but he lost his mind. And then let me tell you how deep this black magic stuff go. I was asleep in my bed. I was in my apartment. At this time, they moved out. They found their own place. I found them a place. They're out. And I'm staying in my own place by myself with my son. I remember I was in my bed. I'm sorry for the story being everywhere. I'm just going along as my memory hits me, because it's been so many years. I remember one time I was sitting in my bed, y'all. I was sitting in my bed. It was broad daylight. I must have took a nap, must have fell asleep. While I was asleep, I had an out-of-body experience, meaning that I'm looking around. It's the same how it was. Like, my house is the same, but my body is down asleep. And I'm looking outside of my room, which is the dining room, and I'm watching her. It was her. I'm watching her come in and out of the walkway, like going like this, smiling, going back and forth in and out of the doorway with this biggest grin ever, just running back and forth, smiling. I remember I was frightened. I woke up and I called my father in Jamaica. I'll never forget. And I said to my dad, I said, Dad, I told him the dream. I told him everything I was doing. And my father was like, Brittany, stay away from that woman. Stay away from that woman. Call your grandmother. She'll tell you. And I remember, I think I called my grandma, his mom. And she was like, stay away from her. She put in something on you, stay away from her. That's witchcraft, what you're doing, and da-da-da. And I remember I just never did that candle stuff again. I never touched that stuff again. I never went back to the Botanica again. And then one day, that's when I was asleep, and God woke me up, And I just like, I'm tired. And you guys know the story after that. But the point is, that stuff that I did to him, it backfired on me, because when I decided to pick up my cross, when me and him split, I got married. I could not get him out of my mind. It took me years to get him out of my mind. I would cry about him. I would miss him. Mind you, I was married. I couldn't get him out of my mind. And God is using me to come on here to tell somebody, don't mess with that stuff. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Don't indulge, excuse me, I'm so sick. Don't indulge in that stuff. If the person loves you, they're gonna stay. You're gonna know it's gonna be ordained. But don't go messing with that stuff. I wish I knew what I knew now, but by the grace of God, he saved me. I am covered in the blood of Jesus. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. God blessed me with my husband. God is opening my eyes to how blessed I am with my husband. My heart yearns for my husband. I am proud to say that today. Despite all the trials and tribulations in my marriage, sometimes you gotta fall in order to get back up. God had to take my husband from me. God had to reveal all my wickedness that I was doing to my husband. I'm telling you, there was no way. And I truly believe a lot of this stemmed from me indulging in witchcraft and doing that to that boy with the help of his mother, in the presence of his mother. That's the crazy part about it. That's like I couldn't even imagine I got a son, like going with some girl to some botanica witchcraft store, and with her, watching her and encouraging her to put spells on my son. We live in a crazy world. We live in a crazy world, but it's okay though. It's okay. I remember though, I'm gonna close it up with this, is that I remember, like, once I gave myself over to God and stuff like that, they all called me crazy. They all stopped talking to me. But I remember me and his mom, one of our last conversations, and she said to me, she said, I believe you. She told me, because he was calling me crazy. He was like, you crazy. God, why would God tell you to give up everything? But she told me, she was like, I believe you. She said, what she said, you're going to be blessed. And she told me she had a dream. I have all this written down in this book. I've been writing from 2017. God been convicting me of writing. And she told me, she said, she had a dream that she was on this road. She was on one side of the road and I was on the other side in a house. She said I was in this house, and she said I had on this beautiful purple dress. And she said I was surrounded by people. And she said she was just on the other side of the road, outside looking in. That dream right there speaks volumes. God saved me. God saved me there. Let me tell you something. If you are indulging in that, turn from it right now. Repent of your sins. Don't worry. They can't do nothing for you. They're gonna be outside looking in. They can't touch you. They can't do nothing to you. Let me tell you something. The power of God. I was just sitting in this car praising God when he told me to make this video. And this video is everywhere. Because why? I didn't write about it. I didn't plan about it. It was just the spirit of moment. God said, expose that darkness. And by the grace of God, he saved me. He saved me from that. He gave me spiritual wisdom. I have knowledge now. I have knowledge today on the background of the sin of witchcraft, of sorcery, of fortune telling. I used to do that stuff a lot. Even before I got with him, I used to do fortune telling. I used to go to the fortune teller and have her read my palm. It's all sin. It's all bad. It's all demonic. I love you guys, and if you're doing it, turn. It only leads to one way, and that's destruction. That is to the lake of fire. You guys have a blessed day.